Year 10 and 11, welcome to your second part of an analysis of Lord of the Flies. This will analyse chapters 5 to 9. It is part 2. The first video analyses 1 to 4 and the third video analyses 10 to 12. So make sure you watch the videos in chronological order as they are all linked. Chapter 5. Ralph thinks about the seriousness of the forthcoming meeting and of his role as chief. At the meeting, he lays down the rules for behaviour on the island. They discuss the beast. Some boys wonder if they are alone on the island. Jack and Piggy dismiss the idea of the beast. Piggy and Simon are ignored. Simon and Piggy are fearful of Jack and urge Ralph to stay as chief. Piggy, Ralph and Simon discuss what grown-ups would do. The importance of the chapter. We see Ralph's increasing unease. Ralph recognises the qualities needed as a leader and he begins to respect Piggy. It is important that Jack dismisses the beast idea as he will use this later to his advantage, knowing that the boys fear it. Piggy's thinking and knowledge of science lead him to express that they need only fear people, which has huge importance to the whole novel. Simon is silenced when he wants to speak out about the nature of evil, and this foreshadows his death later on when he tries to bring the truth about the beast to the boys. Key quotation. What I mean is, maybe it's only us. Simon speaks these words in chapter 5 during the meeting in which the boys consider the question of the beast. One little one has suggested that the beast may hide in the ocean during the day and emerge at night, and the boys argue about whether the beast might actually exist. Simon proposes that perhaps the beast is only the boys themselves. Although the other boys laugh off Simon's suggestion, Simon's words are central to Golden's point that innate human evil exists. Simon is the first character in the novel to see the beast not as an external force, but as a component of human nature. Simon does not yet fully understand his own idea, but it becomes clearer in chapter 8 when he has a vision and confronts the Lord of the Flies. Clearly, this quotation is of massive importance, so try to remember it. The beast. The boys' fears of the beast become more important, especially at night. In this chapter, the fear of the beast finally explodes, ruining Ralph's attempt to restore order to the island. It acts as the final divide between Jack and Ralph. Sorry, I should have put the word "and" there. At this point, it remains uncertain whether or not the beast actually exists. And the beast serves as one of the most important symbols in the novel, representing both the terror and the attraction of the primeval desires for violence, power, and savagery that lurk within every human soul. Apologies for my typing error there, it should say Jack and Ralph. As the idea of the beast increasingly fills the boys with dread, Jack and the hunters manipulate the boys' fears of the beast to their own advantage. Jack continues to hint that the beast exists when he knows it probably doesn't. This manipulation leaves the rest of the group fearful and more willing to give up power to Jack and his hunters And perhaps more importantly, they are willing to overlook barbarism on Jack's part for the sake of ensuring safety. The beast becomes one of Jack's primary sources of power. Jack enables the boys themselves to act as the beast, to express the instinct for savagery, because that instinct is natural and present within each human being. Golding asserts that we are all capable of becoming the beast. The beast can be interpreted in a number of different ways. In a religious reading, the beast recalls the devil. In a Freudian reading, it can represent the instinctual urges and desires of the human unconscious mind. The little one's idea of the monster rising from the sea terrifies the boys because it represents the beast's emergence from their own minds. Simon realises later in the novel the beast is not necessarily something that exists outside in the jungle. Rather, it already exists inside each boy's mind and soul, the capacity for savagery and evil that slowly overwhelms them. Ralph. Ralph is forced to grow up quickly in this chapter. Life becomes more serious. He thinks about how the order has broken down. He acknowledges that their rescue is looking to be unlikely. Quote, "This meeting must not be fun but business," shows us the character of Ralph. Ralph is linked to the theme of order here as he thinks rationally about leading. Quote, "The rules are the only thing we've got." He also realises that Piggy can think logically and respects this. And Simon states, "Go on being chief." Again, make sure you make a note of your key quotations. Evil. The boys' fear is given an identity in this chapter, and that is the beast. They focus on this idea of evil as something external, quote, deciding on fear. Fear is created by the imagination as a wild creature, a squid, human beings, ghosts. That is what all of the boys decide the beast is. The boys doubt whether they are alone, and evil presence is now a key idea within the novel. Chapter 6. A dead parachutist drifts onto the island. Sam and Eric mistake the parachutist for the beast. Jack announces that the beast should be hunted and he mocks the conch. The older boys without Piggy set off to find the beast, and Ralph bravely goes first and he is joined by Jack. The boys want to build a fort on the end of the island, and Ralph urges them to consider practical needs as they carry on looking. The importance of the chapter. The dead parachutist is seen as the beast. Sam and Eric speak as one, and they describe the beast simultaneously. The beast being real gives Jack and his hunters more importance. The conch loses its importance as the hunting of the beast becomes their central focus. Ralph is shown as brave and a leader. Golding once again shows the difference between Piggy and Jack. Simon starts to understand the real beast. Ralph loses control of the group. As the beast becomes something real to fear, Jack manipulates Ralph by asking if he is frightened. This outlines the breakdown in morality and order. The Beast. The reader is reminded of the outside world of the 1950s. The boys wanted a sign from adults. Above them there is a battle being fought, and the sign they receive is a parachutist. The world of adults is a fearful place involving war and the atomic bomb, and this serves as a reminder that the adults are doing no better than the boys. The twins describe what they saw, and it terrifies the other boys. Jack is given a new power here because the hunters are needed. Reactions to the Beast. The Beast reveals the different characteristics of the boys. Jack is excited at hunting, and the power is shifting from Ralph to Jack. Jack mocks Piggy and his fear of the Beast and the importance of the conch. Jack initially leads Ralph and the others in search of the Beast, and Jack is presented here as aggressive and violent and someone who acts on impulse. Piggy is almost the opposite, not physical but intelligent. He is logical and dismisses the ghosts, but admitted he is frightened. He suggests that they don't search for the Beast. Chapter 7. Ralph is dismayed by the dirty state of the boys and considers the harsher terrain on the other side of the island. Simon tries to reassure Ralph that they will get home safely. Jack discovers the tracks of a wild boar. The boys make a ritual dance to celebrate the hunt, and they claim it's a game, but Robert is hurt. Ralph, Jack and Roger hunt the Beast and find the dead parachutist who they think is the Beast. They flee as they are terrified. The importance of the chapter. The state and uncleanliness of the boys represents their decline. Ralph sees the ocean as a barrier between them and civilization. Ralph thinks about middle-class life, the comforts of a typically English middle-class life, and there is a sense of loss. The boys playfully reenact the hunt. We see they have descended into savagery. We see both Jack and Ralph trying to display courage and trying to lead. Ralph joins the boar hunt and he gets caught up in the excitement of it. Golding implies that every individual has a natural drive towards savagery. The reenactment of the chase and hunt is a reminder of the thrill of the hunt and the desire for power. Robert, who stands in for the boy, is nearly killed as the other boys get caught up in their excitement and lose sight of the limits of the game in the mad desire to kill. Afterward, when Jack suggests killing a little in place of the pig, the group laughs. Probably none of them, except possibly Jack and Roger, would go so far as to actually carry out a plan. But the fact that the boys find this exciting rather than horrifying is unsettling. The conflict between Ralph and Jack becomes a struggle for power. Jack's use of violence and savagery replaces Ralph's ordered community. Ralph's exhilaration in the hunt and his participation in the ritual that nearly kills Robert is in a sense a major victory for Jack, for the experience shakes Ralph's confidence in his own instinct towards order. Ralph boldly climbs the hill alone to prove his bravery in the previous chapter, and now Jack goes up the mountain alone to prove his. It's important that Ralph discovers nothing while Jack discovers what he thinks is the beast. Jack increases his leverage within the group by goading Ralph into acting rashly. Ralph realises it is foolish to hunt the beast at night, but he cannot risk appearing to be a coward. So as a result, he goes up the mountain at night. But this costs him. It costs him the opportunity to prove to the others that Sam and Eric did not see the beast. Had the boys climbed the mountain in daylight, as Ralph suggested, they would have seen the dead parachutist exactly for what it was. But they go at night, and they see the parachutist in the shadows, a distorted figure that they think is the beast. The beast is a manifestation of the boy's primal, primitive instincts. Nature. Golding uses nature and natural images. The vastness of the sea can suck down. The forest, the undergrowth, the cliffs, they're seen as threatening. The divider, the barrier between the boys and the world of the adults. And Ralph believes they are trapped. Quote, one was clamped down, one was helpless, one was condemned. In chapter 2, Ralph referred to the island as good, but now he sees nature as threatening. Savagery and tribalism. The boys act out the hunt much like a tribal dance. They have chanted. Jack made a mask, and now this. All significant of a move away from social order and social norms. It also hints at paganism, a group of contemporary religions based on a reverence for nature, including origins, history and rituals. Initially, the boys control their actions, quote, all jabbing at Robert, but then they get caught up in the excitement. Quote, Robert was screaming and struggling with the strength of the frenzy and also frightened snivels. Most noticeably, even Ralph is caught up, quotation, carried away. There is a suggestion that the desire to hunt is part of the male psyche. We must note that the language has changed to short sentences, short speeches, short commands. Golding is using the breakdown in language and communication as a hint towards the breakdown in civilization. Chapter 8. Jack argues that the boys can kill the beast, and he tries to overthrow Ralph as the leader after Ralph offended him by saying the hunters are boys armed with sticks, but he is rejected. Jack leaves with some older boys. A fire is relit. Jack goes to kill pigs with the hunters, and they kill a sow or a sow, however you want to pronounce it, and piglets, and invite the others to feast so they can steal the fire. They put the sows or sows, whichever word you like, head onto a stick. Simon sees the pig head and talks to it before he loses consciousness. The importance of the chapter. We see that Jack hates Ralph. Piggy and Ralph again appear logical, as they say that the boys would be defenceless against the beast. The boys importantly, are now split into two groups: the hunters, who represent savagery, and the conch group, who represent civilization. Jack and his leadership skills are shown to be primitive and primeval, and discussion is replaced with rehearsed responses. For instance, the chief has spoken. Key quotation: "There isn't anyone to help you, only me, and I'm the beast. Fancy thinking the beast was something you could hunt and kill. You knew, didn't you? I'm part of you. Close, close, close. I'm the reason why it's no go, why things are the way they are." Again, for remembering short quotes, "I'm part of you" is hugely important to the central themes of the novel. So, the Lord of the Flies speaks to Simon here during this vision, and they confirm Simon's speculation that the beast is the boys themselves. That's why the quote is so important. This idea of the evil on the island being within the boys is central to the novel's exploration of innate and natural human savagery. The Lord of the Flies identifies itself as the beast and acknowledges to Simon that it exists within all human beings. You knew, didn't you? I'm part of you. And the creature's language and bizarre appropriation of the boy's slang, "I'm the reason why it's no go," makes the creature more hideous. And he taunts Simon with colloquial language that the boys themselves would use. Simon is shocked, obviously, by this discovery and tries to convey it to the boys, but the evil and savagery within them boils to the surface as they mistake the beast itself set upon him. They mistake him for the beast and set upon him and kill him. So this is a huge quote. I think really, if we're shortening it, we need to remember, I'm part of you. If it's a question about Simon, you knew, didn't you? The beast. In a world where the beast is real, rules and morals are weak. Jack is presented here as a tyrant. We see the depth of the boys' growing devotion to the idea of the beast in their impalement of the sow's head on the stake as an offering to the beast, as a sacrifice. No longer simply a childish nightmare. The beast has assumed some importance. And Jack uses the beast to rule. Piggy is confused by all of this. Ralph, who has seen what he thinks is the beast, is depressed because he's unsure of how to reconcile his civilized ideals with the sight he saw on the mountaintop. Simon and the Lord of the Flies. Simon's confrontation with the Lord of the Flies is arguably the most important scene in the novel and has been interpreted in many ways. The retelling of Jesus' confrontation with Satan during his 40 days in the wilderness, a story originally told in the New Testament. Some critics see Simon as a Christ figure, for he is a mystical connection to the environment, possesses a saintly and selfless nature, and meets with a tragic death. Other critics link it to a Freudian reading of Lord of the Flies, claiming that its symbols correspond to the elements of the Freudian unconscious, with Jack seen as the ID, Ralph as the id, whichever way you pronounce it again, Ralph as the ego, and Piggy as the superego. Lord of the Flies may indeed support these and a number of other readings, not necessarily at the exclusion of another. So be prepared when you're writing about different interpretations of the novel to include a few. There's no one right interpretation, so you can use a couple of interpretations in your exam response. Jack. Jack craves power. He is presented as a tyrant and a dictator. We see his ego. Piggy points it out and tells Ralph, "Now you've done it, you've been rude about his hunters." Piggy also recognises the danger of Jack and his tribe. When Jack is questioned, he shouts, "Quiet!" and "You listen." He will not discuss anything, showing he is a dictator. He even tells the hunters that he's going to be chief. Jack uses the beast to his advantage. He uses it as a means of defending the boys. This provides the hunters with a new purpose. The title of the book emphasises good and evil and civilization and savagery. Ancient history refers to a god of the flies being worshipped by pagan civilizations. Jack says they will forget the beast, but the pig's head is still left as a gift. This is symbolic of primitive man and offerings to pagan gods. Jack has become primitive. The allegory and Freud. Lord of the Flies is an allegory. Jack is associated with the id, the primal and instinctive part of us, to hunt and feast and have fun. Piggy's role is the superego, the part that sets limits and seeks to control and is moral. Ralph is the ego. This follows the rules. Note, in the Bible, one of the devil's names is Beelzebub. This translates as Lord of the Flies, connected, therefore, with evil. Chapter 9. Simon sees the dead parachutist and discovers the truth about the beast, and he goes to tell the others. Ralph and Piggy join Jack's party where they are eating meat and having a feast. Jack asks who will join the tribe, and he argues with Ralph over where the conch can be used. A storm starts. Again, note that is the pathetic fallacy. Piggy senses trouble. Simon stumbles into the dancing circle, and the boys see Simon as the beast and kill him in a frenzied attack. And the bodies of Simon and the parachutist are washed out to sea. The importance of the chapter. Simon discovers the truth about the beast but cannot bring the truth to the others. Simon's death marks a change in the hunter's attitude towards death. Jack once again plays on the boys' fears. The death introduces guilt, and throughout the chapter, nature, colour and imagery are used effectively. Jack makes the beast into a godlike figure. He uses it to rule and manipulate the members of the tribe. He makes it an enemy to be feared and an idol to be worshipped. The beast gives Jack's tribe a common enemy and a reason to obey Jack. In a sense, it makes him more powerful. Simon's death. Simon's murder is an inevitable outcome of his encounter. During the confrontation in the previous chapter, the Lord of the Flies foreshadows Simon's death by promising to have some fun with him. Simon's vision teaches him that the beast exists inside all human beings. When the boys kill Simon, they are acting on the savage instinct represented by the beast. Simon's death continues the link between Simon and Jesus as they both die sacrificial deaths. Although Jesus and Simon both die sacrificial deaths, Jesus was killed for his beliefs, whereas Simon is killed because of the boy's misunderstanding. Jesus died after conveying his message, whereas Simon dies before he is able to speak to the boys. Jesus dies to relieve the burden of sin. Simon's death emphasises the power of evil. Simon. Simon is developed as a Christ-like figure. He is determined to reach the top of the mountain. Perhaps it can be viewed as a prophet and visionary, and this is intensified by the description of the halo of creatures that surround him with light as he floats out to sea. Golding calls Simon a thing and the beast. We see him through the eyes of the boys, and we therefore understand their mob mentality. Quote, "The beast was on its knees in the centre, its arms folded over its face." The reader is distanced from Simon here, much like how the boys cannot see him as human. I have written a section here just to provide an example of how we might comment on language. So, in the lead up to Simon's death, Golding uses detailed description of the horrific weather coming to the island, and this use of pathetic fallacy acts as a forewarning about the impending events. Golding shows the reader how nature becomes colourless, drained from the water and trees, and this contrasts heavily with the description of the pig guts, which resemble a heap of glistening coal. From Simon's nose the blood gushed out. This imagery of red blood contrasts with the colourless nature and foreshadows the violence to come, specifically as the storm reaches the island. Before the violence erupts, Golding outlines how Ralph notices the flames against the dull light. He views it as a threat of violence. Personification is used to describe the lightning, blue-white scar, suggesting it has torn the sky. This acts once again as an example of pathetic fallacy. Nature is presented as hostile. It also adds to an atmosphere of fear and in places bewilderment. When the boys see Simon, it is through flashes of lightning and in the dark, giving a strobe light effect which adds to the frenzied attack. Just an example there. Obviously your yellow is quotations, your green is language devices, and your blue is anything else we might class as something important. So I hope that is useful in showing you how to comment on language. This is part 2, don't remember, so this has done chapters 5 to 9, I tell lies, 5 to 9. Please check out video 1, which does chapters 1 to 4, and the video that follows this will do 10, 11, 12. And on the end of that video is more information about character. I hope this video has been useful. Again, it is a series. It is in a series. If you need any more of my videos, please just type my name into YouTube, which is Stacey Ray. STACEYREAY.